Hey folks, welcome back to the Restoration Couple. Today we're back on the farm track. I'm going to show you how we got it finished. Stick around, let's make a start. Right, it is the day of the stone and it looks like highway maintenance work's going on here, albeit with smaller kit. I need that to go back in half an hour. So I need to try and make use of it, but it's quite early still. So I'm going to do a 7 AM roll up there just to get that last bit, and then I'm swapping it for a bigger one. All right, lorry number 1 is here at the gate, and we just kind of walked the route. He's happy enough to come down, reverse around, and reverse all the way down there. The only issue is it's probably not going to be quite as effective as I hoped at tipping while it's driving. It's an automatic, and you have to take it out of gear to tip it. And he said if it was a manual, it's far easier. It's actually quite a wide lorry. Not sure I've left him much to play with. Oh dear. I guess the one benefit is every journey is going to be a shorter reverse. Why do I get the feeling this is going to go all in the field? Right, tip 1 is done, and he's on return going back to the quarry, and I think it's going to take over an hour, well, probably an hour and a half. So I don't even know how we're going to fit in more than half of the track today, so it'll be tomorrow as well. I've done the hedge as best I can for now. I won't share too much on how I cut this, but it did involve a dumper and a talented family member driver and me with a hedge trimmer in the bucket. But you know, skim over that, and it worked very efficiently, to be fair. What I need to do now is get to the far end, and we need to see how far that giant pile is going to take us. So I'll get all this cleared before he comes back with the 3rd or 4th load. But for now, we're going to just push on and get that top section done. There's no hedging up there to worry about. Right, next lorry's here. See what we make for my hedge. He looks like he's making quicker progress. So I think there's still at least 5 meters of material down there that I'm going to have to drag up. Plan for this one, I think I'm just going to get him to do smaller piles, just multiple piles, rather than trying to drag it out. And then it's far easier. Otherwise I'm actually moving material with the bucket, which is just stupid. Quick drive through for Bruce. Okay. Ooh. Right, 3rd one of the day, 3rd one of day 2. We're making progress, but this is really, well, this is the 7th load of 16-ton lorry loads. So I paid for 120. We're going to need at least 1 more load after this, but I think it's just got to happen. Last dump was in 7 small piles, which was far better than having it spill through. It's going to be a nightmare up there trying to rake it all in. I've been trying and it's just horrid. I think one will take us nearly to the end, and then maybe once I've assessed, we'll work out if I need one more load. What I could do is just get it dumped at the end or even up in the yard, and then I'll come down with the dumper and I can just trickle out a little bit over any low spots, rather than keep trying to pull it off areas, because when you do that you risk digging into the crushed concrete below, and then you pull that up and it's a losing battle because you end up with big chunks in the mix. So we don't want to do that. This is good. This is about probably just under a dumper load in each pile as he went. So we've obviously got our crushed concrete down, which has some name if you were to buy it, F something or other, but this is more of a type 1. From our suppliers around here I can get two types of type 1. Type 1, virgin type 1, which is just quarried stone, sort of 40-50 mil to dust. It's basically either it's a mix of 40 mil and dust. It doesn't, there's not like a whole mix of sizes. And I've bought 2 or 3 lorry loads over the past few years, and it just doesn't bind like you want it to, and power steering or turning or wet weather or whatever, it always seems to just loosen it up and you end up with just a load of big stones on top. So what I wanted here is a really fine top layer that one would look nice and would stay compacted, but also something that meets the criteria for this, for the spec and the application that we've done, which is it needs to be like a 20 mil to dust sort of top layer, which is what this is going to give us. So this is actually a recycled product, but it's blended with stones. The majority of the big stuff is stone. It's not like loads of crushed concrete or anything in here, but it seems to be that it's bulked out with some smaller bits of gravel and the fines, but there are occasionally a few bits of tile or rebar or stuff. It's obviously a mix, but when it dries it's sort of that light pinkish grey down there, which is a little bit less stark than something like the crushed concrete that we've got down. But the main benefit of this is it binds super well, really tight, and I think it's going to give us a far more durable finish. The other option would have been road planings, and I put down, what was it, 60 tons of that or more on our shared lane that goes down to the road last year, and that has almost formed tarmac again. It does work really well. It does need a bit of maintenance. The only issue is that it's tar, it's kind of nasty stuff, and when it's right next to grazing land and right next to a waterway, I just didn't like the idea of using it. So that's why I went with the stone product. And I think, not that we've rolled it yet, but I think you can kind of get the idea that when this is vibrated and rolled with that big road roller, it's going to give us a really nice dense hard surface that hopefully will stand the test of time. I wanted a bit of a grass verge here. In reality it's probably not a bad thing that our track is finishing flush or slightly higher than the grass for drainage reasons, but I also don't want stone creeping through. So I think in time what I might do is actually put some of that soil that we've piled up everywhere back here neatly and seed it, and actually make a feature of having a nice grass verge. It's not ground force, it's not a landscaping project. It does need to be practical, and I can't afford to waste too much time down here. There's a load of soil on the left I want to remove, so the idea is that that gateway there is going to go into a handling area. So I think really I'll shape that into a bit of a bank, because we need to replant that hedge. All of that stuff can come out, that geotextile can go down. There's already stone and membrane in the actual gateway area, so it's just this section here. So it's probably 3 dumper loads of crushed concrete, and then so it probably is another lorry to finish. Right, I've done a terrible job of filming, and you'd be glad today that the GoPro's out of battery, so you don't have to suffer with any more time lapses. So that was the 9th load, and we've pretty much got to the end, but of course the bottom of that slope needs some There's a few bare patches that I've kind of skimped on. So what I'm thinking is, if I can smooth out these enough, then I'll sort out some membrane sub base down there, hopefully before he gets back, and then he can do one pile down there, and I can load a dumper with it. I can top up bits if I need to, and then I can sort out that whole area, take some extra up to the far end, and I think that's going to be better. Well, rolling has commenced, but I'm feeling a bit broken by the whole situation. It's really not the finish or the quality I really wanted, and I know there's many of you who will just say it's a farm track, but it can still be done nicely, and it's still a lot of money going into it and a lot of effort, and there's just so many issues that could have been avoided. Now, I'm not blaming anyone, but the idea of bringing the lorry down here was kind of a two-edged sword, really, because yes, it saved a bit of time, but I don't think overall it's going to save us much at all. It's made a right mess. Looking up here, that grass verge I retained all the way along, and it was going to be quite a smart edge to it all. I mean, just looking at that, that's probably half an hour's work at least, clearing all that off. Where is it going? Is it going? I can't use a digger, really. Is it going in a wheelbarrow? Is it I mean, picking out stones out the field. It's even worse at the far end. So a bit gutted there. Also got to finish this off today, but I'm still not happy really with the finish. With that 2.5 ton big roller, there's areas which has bound it really nice and tight, but of course as you grade things out and it brings up larger bits to the top, and they just don't bind in as well, and I just feel like rain and everything's going to wash bits away. I'm probably going to go over again with the digger, just see if I can skim and mix it back up again and then roll it. I'm being fussy, I know. But this area here, for example, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted down the whole track. But this recycled product, look, tile spacer, tiles, bricks, there's loads of bits of cable. It does bind nice, and I think it's going to give a solid track, but I feel like the right thing to do whilst the roller is here is to see if I can source a couple of lorry loads of like 6mm to dust or 4mm to dust, and just have another load of that over the top of this. It might be easier to smooth out, and it will give it aesthetically far nicer finish. Well, it's been on the wish list for a long time, but I'm glad to say that we've now actually got a serviceable finished track and we can tick it off the list. Now, it might be that in time we do put an extra top dressing on it, re-roll it, tweak the levels a little bit, but we've had some really torrential downpours over the past week and we've had no pooling or anything like that. So I think the drainage side of it, we've got a decent fall. We don't have to worry too much there. It's more just on looks now. As you can see, we finally got grass growing and that verge is looking okay. Up further along, we do need to rake it all off and just neaten things up a little bit, but I think it's going to weather in okay, and by the time this bank starts greening up and comes back to life again, it should soften the look of it. But what I didn't show you is this end where we've kind of got, I guess it's like the junction. We've got the track that comes down. Even if you come over here, I'll show you the little bit that we've carried on. So remember, in our planning application, it continues all the way up to the top yard. We've already got basically a track underneath the grass, so we never have access issues, but we have got this bit, maybe 10-20 meters of gravel going up, which means that getting up the slope is fine. And then this whole area here, we never really quite put enough thought into how these gates open and which angle. Probably going to hinge that gate the other way, but this is where we can move animals from one field into this paddock. We've now got this extra gate which I've put on the end of the pig pens, which means that we can move sheep, cows, pigs, everything into here, and we're going to put our scales and our cattle crush in there, some pens and things like that. So that should be the little hub of the farm, and everything comes off it. And one more bonus project. I don't think we're going to have time, but if we do have time this season for another farm project, still got to build that bridge. Well, there we go, the track is almost finished. We are going to have to head off and move sheep and goats and cows because there's a fair bit to get done, as well as getting the bricks ready, because it's all just about to start on the big barn build, and next week we're going to be pushing on with that. All the mortar arrives tomorrow morning, all the bricks we're stacking out, and we've got our ICF filled. So there's lots to share with you in the next week or so. But for now, if you've got any questions on the track build, let me know. Yes, we're going to revisit it, and yes, we might have to do a little bit of tweaking over the coming months, but we're going to see how it weathers over the winter. That water from a couple of downpours has really helped. I even held on to the whacker, what do you call it, roller, for an extra day or two, and knowing that rain was coming, and went over it whilst sat there in the rain, and we've ended up with a really rock solid finish. The only issue is obviously some of the aggregate is bigger in places, so that smaller 4 mil to dust could be the answer, but we're going to leave it for now, because for now that is a serviceable farm track. If you've got any questions, let me know. I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.